just need to
We're recording.
acknowledge Edna for joining us this morning, but I do need to take the position that we apologise for low attendees due to the, I would say it's the Easter break and the Tuesday. So I do apologise for that. So you've got a limited number of people to focus on you this morning, Edna.
But you've got quality, not quantity.
Thank you for acknowledging me for that. So I will suggest that we would love to invite, we're going to go through this morning with this group, if that's okay with everybody, but I'd like to say or offer Edna to come back to a larger group offering as we move forward. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Morning.
Acknowledging you, Charlie, as the group founder, ex-presidente and chief of mischief. So welcome on board. Thank you, Rhonda, for your attendance. At this stage, we normally go around the room, as we say, and introduce ourselves and give a thought for the day. So I might start with you, Rhonda, because you're the thought judge as well.
Oh. Well, good morning, everybody. I am Rhonda Buttery, and my business activities involve providing the best nutritional supplements on the planet that are made from food rather than from petrochemicals. And I also sell and teach people how to use astrology software, and that happens to be the best in the world as well. And my thought this morning is, if at first you don't succeed, hide all evidence that you tried.
Yes, very good. Good one.
Okay, retired man of leisure, Charlie.
Well, good morning, swappers and any future swappers that might be hiding amongst us this morning. My name is Charlie Nichols. I live in Laos, although at the moment I'm in Australia for doctor's appointments. We have a little homestay in Laos called the Lao Lake House, and everyone's invited to come along and have a look at us whenever you're ready. My thought for the day, in actual fact, is for Greg. It's a new T-shirt I just bought, Greg, and I was thinking of you when I bought it. All right, so this is my T-shirt philosophy of the day, and that is, I am sorry that I've pushed all your buttons. However, I was looking for mute.
I don't get offended easily, Charlie. All right, Edna, would you have a thought for the day for us this morning?
Yes. No, I think you guys have beat me. I didn't think. I don't have anything that's as good as yours.
Win it.
But
you can't win it if you don't have
maybe
a thought.
I'll say this. That's true. So let me see. I would say my thought for today, life doesn't always work out the way you want. Just smile and go with the flow.
Yes.
And so true. Well, I'm the lucky last this morning, Rhonda, if you're listening. Greg Eldred from, it was sunny, but now we've had torrential rain overnight, but Greg Eldred from Executive Business Solutions in Melbourne. We specialise in office technology, air and water purification solutions here in Melbourne. My thought for the day is, a life without a plan is called a puzzle. A life without a plan is called a life with a plan is called a blueprint. A life without a goal is called wandering. A life with a goal is called sailing. Thank you. Did I win, Rhonda?
Thank you.
Oh, Alex, you're just in time for your thought.
He's on mute.
Yes, he'll be there in a minute. He's probably just tuning in.
So I may not have won, Rhonda.
We'll get him dressed.
And it's a good thought, Greg. But in keeping with today, I think Edna really hit it on the head.
Oh.
Are you joining us, Alex?
I think there's a bit of favouritism there, Rhonda.
Do you?
I won't take it personally.
Well, actually, I really think mine was the best.
Well,
Hey, hold on here. What about my t-shirt philosophy?
Yeah, it was very good, Charlie. Look, when Alex isn't going to make it by the look of it. So, yes, I think in keeping with the energy of today, Edna's. Oh, here you are, Alex.
There was a note there that said it was being recorded and I hadn't hit on it.
Oh, okay. Yes, it won't let you
Right.
into you acknowledge. Have you got a thought this morning?
Of course I have. Always got a thought. Charlie is not looking any younger. But the other thought is, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse.
Oh,
Hey,
that's very good too.
that's the truth. All right, madam.
Yes, I
thought-
still think I'm going to award it to our guest speaker today. Would you like to just repeat that again, Edna, for Alex's benefit? He wasn't here.
Thank you.
I
No,
think
I
it
just
might have
made
been
that
off-
up. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it might have been off the top of your head. So let me just go back. I can read it for you. Sunny now. Speaking
Okay.
my thought for the day. Oh, there's a plan. So that's Greg.
Did I win?
Life doesn't always work out the way you want. Just smile and go with the flow.
Oh, very good. Yes. I can acknowledge that one. Congratulations, Enda. You're doing very well. You're winning all the prizes this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
We don't have a 5-minute speaker locked in this morning, and I was thinking as I was driving down from 4:30 this morning, was really just getting a snapshot of what's happening in your world, whether it be, I'm more interested from the region. So Rhonda, you're up on the Gold Coast. What's the feeling up there? Is it positive? Is it pumping? Is it quiet?
Okay, well, I'm not exactly on the Gold Coast. I'm on the, what do we call it now? The Arts Coast. And that's around the Redland area, which is north of the Gold Coast and south of the Sunshine Coast. In fact, we're due east of Brisbane.
Right.
And we're really a little bit regional. We're not quite in the hub of everything going on. It's a bit like from Melbourne, it's a bit like being in Eltham, or from Sydney, like being, where would you have to go in Sydney to find something like we've got here? We're on Moreton Bay, which is always beautiful.
Right. Yep.
People come here. Cleveland is a kickoff point for Stradbroke Island, which is a very popular spot. Since COVID and the lockdowns, I think people have been much more limited in where they're going and what they're doing. We're sort of staying closer to home. It's taken a couple of years for us to get used to being able to get out and around again. And we've done so much online that it's very easy to become a little more insular and isolated. In our area here in the Redlands, we have a great deal of social and other interactivity. And I'm pleased to say that because we're almost fringe dwellers, we had a lot of advantages during the lockdowns that people in more higher density populations didn't. There was a lot of resistance here to a lot of the crap that we were exposed to. And we think we live in a little corner of paradise. Does that answer what you want, or were you looking more
Well,
for
yeah,
what's happening business-wise?
I thought you were more plugged into the business area, like the Gold Coast, but I acknowledge where you're tucked away. So thank you for sharing that.
I do go
Charlie-
to the Gold Coast once a month for an interest group involved with astrology.
Yes.
We do
Okay.
get about and do things. Ron and I like to travel. We did a lot of travel. He's not finding it so easy anymore. So we were very glad we did what we did before all the shutdowns. We
Yes.
did quite a bit of travel around Australia, especially on the eastern seaboard during the shutdown. So we didn't exactly bury ourselves. And we have quite a busy social life where he's retired. I work for myself, so I work around my own hours.
Right. Thank you for that. Young Charlie, you're an interesting one. I suppose you've got a foot in two camps, Lao and the Gold Coast. a quick snapshot on both, maybe?
All right, well, let's start with the Gold Coast. There's two types of people that live in Australia, those that live on the Gold Coast and those that wish they lived on the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast is the premier spot in Australia, as everybody knows, just by the visitor numbers. It doesn't matter where you go, you'll run into a visitor. Even a Kiwi like Alex it comes to the Gold Coast because they know that it's God's own earth around the Gold Coast area. Sorry, Alex. Well, I bet you were here a couple of weeks ago because I had coffee with you.
We did. It was very pleasant.
So, but the Gold Coast itself is humming. It always does hum. It seems to survive every economic problem that the country has. Except if the tourists stop coming, then we've got a problem. And what saves us, obviously, are the beaches. The beaches are some of the best in the world, and I've seen a lot of beaches around the world, and they are still the best beaches I think I've ever been to. In Laos, we have a bit of a challenge in Laos with inflation, which is really unfortunate. I really don't know how the Lao people live on the wages that they get, because the kit, which is their monetary value, is devaluing, and the American dollar keeps going up, and those that get paid in American dollars are fine, but those that get paid in the local currency are really finding it hard.
Right.
So things have doubled in the last 18 months to 2 years, and I just don't know how they survive. I don't even know how I'm going to survive when I go back next month, but there we go. So that's about it on Laos and the Gold Coast. I wouldn't swap either.
Okay, thank you for that. Alex, what's happening across the waterway?
Well, it's quite interesting here at the moment, and it's quite interesting with the change of government, where the focus is on economic growth. In other words, making the cake bigger rather than seeing out how much you can give people who don't contribute a bigger slice. And that's quite different. And the media absolutely hate it. They find any reason. The other thing, we were going really badly down. Everything had to be Maori here. 10% of the population, 90% of the say, which I thought was totally wrong. And that is swinging back, and it's a bit more even. Economically, I noticed there's a few more liquidations around, but things still seem to be relatively buoyant. We are also coming close to finishing some of the rebuild projects from the earthquake. So that's what, close to 13 years ago. And we've still got big blocks in the center of the city being rebuilt there. So the other great thing we had the other day was interesting how this world is. We had the biggest attendance at GP sailing ever. I think we had 22,000 people on the stands watching the thing. But we had one dolphin that came up the harbour and it stopped the racing for a day. So, and from what I've seen of ruddy dolphins, they are pretty clever things, and they know where to get out of the way, and they can tell the areas where there's a activity. But nevertheless, we had we were very pleased because the Kiwis won. We'd paid somebody to take the Australian boat out, which they did at the beginning of the first race, I think overall we're 1 point ahead. Yeah, and it's been quite a warm summer for us, and now it's just cooling off, quite autumnal. We went over to the bay at Akaroa on the weekend, and a lot of the poplar trees are quite golden now. So they're, as you Americans call it, the fall. Leaves are starting to fall. Yeah, but great time.
Good, thanks, Alex. Thank you for that. For me, down south, down here in Melbourne, it's I'm curious to see what's happening around the country, because Melbourne can be a little bit isolated and parochial. Melbourne hasn't really recovered from the pandemic, and we're starting to see. I think Victoria has had the higher ratio of building liquidations, building companies falling over. Due to the rising material costs and the rising labour costs. We've got builders falling over left, right and centre. And I'm starting to see up the eastern seaboard, especially Queensland, there's some builders starting to fold. So our state, there's still business activity. It's cautious, it's conservative, not as bullish as what it used to be, but it's sort of, under the scenes, it's working its way ahead, but it can be quite frustrating because I'm finding it takes customers a lot longer to make a decision or to sign a contract, and you're putting twice as much work in for what you used to have to do previously. So it's interesting times. I've got to ask a political question, Edna, if you don't mind me asking. How's it going with Trump and Biden over?
No, I don't.
Don't ask that question?
You can ask it. You can ask it. I think I heard something today that I believe someone from the House had said that people shouldn't be concerned about. No. I'm sorry. It's not the House. Scratch that. It's from one of his officers that's been like whistleblowing on all of his information, has said they shouldn't worry about him getting the presidency, Trump, because he's a blazing idiot. And that was quoted. So, I mean, I think it's going back and forth, really, I don't know. I think they both have, their place in the voting now. So they have the backing they needed. So I don't know. I mean,
Is there
there's a lot of people here.
Is there a feeling as to which way it will go?
It's a lot of people in New York that really like Trump. Then a lot of people also, it's like 50-50. Like there's the 100% that liked him. They're kind of split right now because they're concerned about okay, he's got some good things to say, but he can't be controlled. So that's a little bit that's going on here, but I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you, because I can't tell you. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
What happens if neither of them make it to the poll?
No, they have gotten their endorsements.
Oh, I'm not talking about their endorsement. I'm talking about them physically making it to the distance.
Oh. I don't know.
Anyway.
I mean, I haven't thought about that.
Just remember my question later on. Just remember.
Is this wishful thinking, Rhonda?
No, it's not wishful thinking. It's discussing things with astrologers.
I will.
All right. Charlie, can I ask you?
They're talking about that too.
I missed that one. What was that?
They're talking about that too. The astrologists are giving. They're talking about the astrologers giving some insight to all of this. So
really?
now that they're weighing in on the astrologers, which it's kind of interesting, on that end. I think it's really cool. So I think that's I've never seen that before. I really haven't. But I think that's really cool to hear what the astrologists are saying about what's going to happen.
One of them is suggesting that you could have a female president this time.
Maybe
this time.
This time.
Really? All right, let's cut that conversation short. Thank you very much. Charlie Nichols, you're on mute at the moment. You're on mute, Charlie.
Right. Yeah. So what did you want, Greg?
Could you introduce Edna to us, if you wouldn't mind?
I certainly will. I have her bio here, but please remember I'm half blind, so I hope to be able to read it correctly. All right. So you ready for this, Edna? Edna White
I'm
isn't
ready.
your average. Good. Edna White isn't your average life purpose coach. She's a creative facilitator and life purpose coach known for her unique approach that goes beyond mere advice and into the trenches with entrepreneurs, supporting them with a deep understanding of their challenges. As the founder of Second Chance Inc., Edna empowers women to not to just get healthier, but to get crystal clear on their purpose, identity, and strategies to achieve their vision. She creates a safe space for teams to explore their strengths, challenges, and aspirations, whether it's in executive summits in Long Island or workshops across the globe in Hawaii, China, Australia, and New Jersey. Entrepreneurs rave about Edna's ability to bring out the best in their teams, leading to breakthrough insights and enhanced collaboration. Her expertise extends beyond client work, as she's also an accomplished author and podcast host. Her book, Stuff, The Stuff No One Told Us, has resonated with over 10,000 leaders globally, offering practical advice on navigating difficult situations with grace and dignity. Edna's Keeping It Real on Purpose podcast reaches listeners in over 100 countries, featuring interviews with renowned leaders and offering valuable insight for today's leaders and the leaders of tomorrow. Her blog attracts over 2 million readers annually, and her Love, Trauma and Healing series has touched the lives of over 3,500 leaders worldwide. Edna's passion for empowering leaders doesn't stop here or there. She actively shares her expertise through workshops, events, and online platforms, fostering growth and clarity in the leadership realm. When she's not inspiring others, you can find Edna living on Long Island with her pup Cooper, surrounded by her loving family. Edna White is more than just a coach. She's a trusted partner, a mentor, and a catalyst for breakthrough leadership journeys. Could you please help me welcome Edna White? Welcome, Edna.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really excited. I've never been in a group that shares so much information like you guys do. So it was interesting. I was trying to write some stuff down, but it's very interesting to see, to see and experience and be part of that. So thanks for that. So do you want me to get started? You
Yes,
just
Oh,
move
yes.
along, or?
You just
All right. I have I'm having a little problem with the internet. So if you don't hear something, just ask me to repeat it over again. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to talk about business breakthrough and not burnout. A lot of times, my clients experience, especially with businesses, we always, and entrepreneurship, we hear the famous words, that entrepreneurship is one of the most difficult things there are to do. You can start a business, but entrepreneurship just takes on this whole life of its own, and you end up, it running you and you not running it. So in order to balance that, I found out because I've started 20 years ago. I was started working in real estate about 20 years ago on Long Island, and I kind of fell in love with it because I could be coaching people along and encouraging them to kind of buy a house. So it was really great, and I was able to hone my skills in instruction and just do the things that I love to do. And I found that pretty soon, once I became that agent, I wanted to have my own office. So my office kind of grew before I had a system kind of set up, and it grew to the point that I had 15 agents in one office, and I had to open another office in order to have the people that were waiting on the list to be in my office. It was just so crowded. So I had no system, and the business was running me like really crazy. I had so much on my plate. And the challenge around that was I was trying to navigate. Now, mind you, I had a dog, I had a bird, I had children, 3 children to be exact. My nephew lived with me, and I was married. Okay. So I had all these things going on, and I was working at 60 to 70 hours a week. I was not well balanced. I was not well balanced. I was burning out, and it affected me, with my mental health a lot. So I was down for maybe when I first started the business in 2002. I was doing really great, and I mean I was bringing home just me was like 10,000 a month, and that's not even counting the office. It was just doing amazing, but I was running myself down to the ground. So I wasn't able to stop that because I hadn't set up a system. So I encourage like all the entrepreneurs and all business owners, set up systems. Systems is what saved me. And the only thing I really had, honestly, when I had a car accident and wasn't able to go, was 2 pieces of things. I had an office manager and I had extra insurance that paid. I wasn't there and I had an accountant. 3 things. So those 3 systems kind of saved my business. So when I got back on my feet, I was able to kind of come back in and, kind of just restart things and set up systems. So one of the biggest things that really burns us out, and even though through the breakthrough that I was having with my business, and I was still burnt out at the end of it, was that I had to learn to have those systems. And I had to, and one thing that I did give up, and I loved, and I know that you guys can kind of, think about this, but I love taking care of myself. I loved taking care of myself. Well, if I was working 60 to 70 hours in my business, right? Where was the self-care? Where was the time that I took to kind of take care of me? And we forget to do those things. The simplest things that help us prevent burnout, we kind of run down because we're running. And I see so much of this in New York, that the hustle is in business. Like everybody's just like hustling, bustling all the time. And I'm telling you, now I slow down, I'm walking and I'm looking at trees and leaves, and I'm like, just having like just a good old time walking. Everybody's like, well, what are you doing? And I'm slowing down. Everybody's like, I'm moving real fast, and I'm just taking my time. But I literally was working so much. I had bought a new house in the process, didn't even get to enjoy the house, and didn't know that I had always wanted this Chinese tree sitting in front of my house. Didn't know it was there. And then I was like, wait, when did we get this tree? And that's how much, when you're so involved in the hustle of life, right? Especially with your business, I was doing it backwards. And what I tell most of my clients is we have to set these systems up, and then we also have to create, keep our boundaries. If self-care is like on Saturdays, then you can do what you need to do around that. If you are getting off at a certain time, you get off. I would not get off. I would be, staying at the office, and I would contemplate what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm trying to figure all this out. Somebody told me that if you put 5 things in a list, you get to do 3 things. You've done the list. You've done what you're supposed to do on the list, even though you had 5 things. 2 things can drop to the next day. So I had to learn that through the challenges, because the things that the long lasting threat on your life really is, and especially to your business too, is your mental health. Without you, and you're the one that creates the vision, without you, what happens to the business? Probably nothing, right? So you have to learn to, take care of yourself. And that's the biggest part of being an entrepreneur, is taking really good care of yourself. And boy, did I learn how to say no, in those times. Right after that, boy, did I learn how to say no, 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 no. And it still worked out. No matter, so I learned that even without the hustle, you take the hustle away and you set some boundaries and some structure and some systems, you still are able to do the same exact thing, make the same amount of money you were making before. It's just the way that you're doing it. We think that we have to be doing that. We think that we have to be, always on the go. We think that. But really, it's not that way. We need to identify and manage our stress. What is stressing us out? Well, we'll do that. One big thing in my business when I was in real estate is every Saturday and Sunday. So they teach us in real estate that Saturday, Sundays are hot days. Those are days that everybody comes out, see all the houses, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Every Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. I would set appointments, be booked for the whole day. People would be out. Oh, I forgot because the kids wanted to go have, ice cream over here. Oh, I had to change the appointment because we're having a party. And I'm sitting there making all these appointments, and I'm just sitting there doing this the whole day. So I had to identify that's a challenge for me. And then I had to manage that because I was stressed out. I was like, what am I doing wrong? I was scheduling. I wasn't looking at my business the way that it looked for me, never mind somebody else. How does it look for me? And I had the data. I just didn't look at it. So how do I manage that? Is just recognizing simple, small things. It's just manage. That's very stressful to me. Okay, I won't do Saturday and Sundays. I'll have family time. And for 20 something years moving forward, I've been doing that. I've been, no, I'm not showing any house on the weekend. We could do Monday through Friday, whatever you want to do. But hey, no, we're not going to do it. So I've learned to say no, and I've learned that if people want to work with you, they're going to work with you, and they're going to make it work. We don't have to always go over and above. And then we have to learn how to create some resilience to that. Yeah, we can be all powerful and all great things during the week. We don't have to do that like in the weekend. We can have some downtime. It's okay. When you have your downtime, and I tell my grandkids it's called pause, because my granddaughter's like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm like, no, it's called pause. It's a pause time. And so when they come visit me, all those young kids, my granddaughter's 7, my youngest grandson, he's just turned 16. And so they come over and, they're into these phones, tablets and everything. So they know when they come here, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, anything after, so 10 o'clock is the time that you turn your electronic devices on. That's it. That's it. We were making breakfast together. We're going to the gym together. We're going outside to walk the dog, whatever. But we're going to do that without an electronic device. So they've learned that it's a pause. We don't, as adults, we think that we have to be busy all the time. We need pauses. We need to respect the pause. It's just like on the television. You pause it to come back to it. The same thing with life. You pause it. Okay, I'm going to pause that, put that on pause for a minute, and you come back to it. So setting those boundaries and being and sticking to things, really sticking to it, and saying, no, I have this, and making it part of your plan, and then create no systems. Again, I'm always going to say systems because I love systems. They really work well for me. So just those small things can prevent so much burnout later on. You have to have a supportive work-life balance, I would always have a group of people like you, to say, hey, can I have we have like a, call it the parking lot. So like if our businesses are having issues or we're having issues of our own, okay, it's parking lot time. Let's talk about that. And I would talk with them about my parking lot situation. And then they would help me kind of figure it all out. So I had a great support system as well. And it wasn't just like people who, real estate agents. It was, people who are investors, real estate investors. It was CEOs of companies. It was nonprofit organization executive directors, those type, people that cheer you on when you're not in the room, and they supported me. And whenever I would call them, hey, hey Edna, how you doing? Blah, 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 and they were like, okay, what's going on? What do you need help with? And they're always willing to help. And same thing with me. When they call me, I know what's going on. So having a supportive system like this really helps to kind of give that balance to you for work and life, because you need to talk about some things. You need to make sure it's balanced out. And what I was doing a lot of is I was taking a lot of that frustration and aggravation, and I know we all do it. We'll take it home to tell our husbands about it. Oh God, they can only take so much, or our wives, they can only take so much. So we have to be able to relieve that and say, hey, this is what's going on in the business, or this is what I'm frustrated about this customer. What do I do? And then that way you come home, hey, what's going on? Things didn't look too good today, but I worked them out because I had this support system and I worked that out. That's really good. Now let's go eat ice cream, or let's go have dinner, so you're balancing out that it's not all on, because we do put it on our family members a lot. We put the heavy weight on our family members. So we wanted to, kind of prioritize that and not let that happen for them, So setting boundaries between work and personal time, here's a great one, is when it's time to be off, it's time to be off. No answering texts, no answering calls, and actually putting in your voicemail, if this is after hours, sorry, call you the next day. Even on my emails, I have that. Hey, sorry, if this is after a certain hour, or I answer my emails Monday through Friday, whatever, I will get back to you. You have to set those really good boundaries that really help you create those systems, that create, okay, I know that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm answering emails from this targeted group or this targeted thing. So you want to always set those, and so that your personal time is prioritized, because personal time is self-care. It's really self-care. And those activities you do, they're self-care. They help you to develop really great, mechanisms, and all these pieces that I'm telling you just helps you be healthy, be really healthy. Because stress, there's some good. I don't know if there's any good stress. Let me just rephrase that. I will say there's some challenges that if you look for the solution to, yes, but stress in general goes into your body, and it really can do so much damage to your nervous system, to your mind in general, and to your, physically. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of the one that's, is the visionary. We often forget about the visionary. You're the visionary, so you got to take care of the visionary so that you can be, supportive to those in your family. And like I told you, I had a dog, I had a bird. Well, I want to tell you, through this whole ordeal, my bird died. My dog ran away. My son grew up before I knew it. I was like, wait, where's my son at? It was just the worst. So I was blown away. I was blown in, in being involved, running your business, that you don't see those around you that really, maybe you want to pass this on to them. But I could tell you one thing, that when I saw my mother work really, really hard, she asked me when I was 12 what I want to be. I said, I definitely do not want to work. She's like, wait, what? You gotta work. I was like, not the way you do. She would leave in the morning. I wouldn't see her. And she was a nurse's aide. I wouldn't see her until evening. And she's tired. She gets showered and she goes right to bed. She hardly didn't even eat. So I didn't want to be that way. But if you don't want your kids to say that, you're miserable or you're mean or you're nasty or this is not going great. You want to pass it down as a legacy. You don't want to leave that connotation on them. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what I want to do. So I didn't know it, but I was passing it down to my children. That entrepreneurial, so to speak, spirit, which wasn't good, and I wasn't showing them that it could be balanced. So I think that's about it. But those are the smaller. That's some of the things that you can do, right? And as an entrepreneur, you have challenges. So I'm just going to give you like maybe 3 or 4 challenges that you're going to have. But this is how you counteract them, right? So you're going to have some challenges. A lot of times as an entrepreneur for myself, I wasn't present. I was thinking about the next thing. Yeah. I learned to stay in the present. So if the copy machine was breaking down, I would stay with the copy machine breaking down. I wouldn't think about, I'm not going to get it fixed and there's this big project tomorrow. I had to stay there because you know what it does? It doesn't let you complete anything on your plate to get it done because your head's all over and it doesn't give you a clear mind to focus on that very thing. So practice being present. 2 is this schedule tasks. I always schedule things and I didn't sway from that. So unless it was an emergency, like, someone been in the hospital, broken bone, bleeding, things like that. If I had something scheduled, it's like, no, I'm not going to move that. We can do that another day. Nothing's urgent. Nothing's the world is not going to end tomorrow if they don't buy a house today with me, So everything's not going to be ending. So make sure you stay to that, stay to your calendar, don't overload yourself, The 3rd thing we do is we set goals and then we don't break them down. We, so to speak, we eat the elephant. We try to eat the elephant whole instead of breaking it up in pieces. So we have to micro goal things. And a big thing that entrepreneurs do not do, and this is really scary to say, is that we don't celebrate what we do. Even if it's a small thing, I accomplished 5 goals. Let me give myself a cup of coffee. Let me go to Starbucks and sit down and just relax and drink this coffee because I did these 5 goals. We don't do that. And then we become unappreciative of what we do and devalue ourselves. And then that's how we get to this running and this hustling all the time because we don't see value in it. So when we don't appreciate it, we will never see value in it. And we'll just keep running and hustling and making ourselves crazy and then creating burnout. And the last one I think I'm going to give you is set realistic boundaries, between what we talked about, between work and life. If it's possible, do it, stick to them, set those boundaries that identify your priorities. For me with my business was my priority because I felt like my why was I need to raise my children because I was raising them so long by myself. And I need to have them go to school, have clothes for them, have a new house, that kind of stuff. I needed all of that. But it took my focus off who my priorities were, which were my children, which was my bird, my dog, and my husband. I took my eyes off that. So make sure that you're, setting realistic goals. Realistic boundaries, and so that you're prioritizing the important things, setting aside nightly dinners with the family, and just keeping those things in mind, even if you have to put them on a calendar to do. That's what I would do. So remember, and I think I told you the last one. I'm gonna take you this 5. The last one would be what I told you about the five rules. If you get 3 done, it's remember quality over quantity. So if you're thinking about you got to do all 5 and you rush through them, they don't have quality. But if you do 3 and they have quality and you feel so good about them, you've done what you're supposed to do for the day. The other 2 can get done another day. So, prioritize yourself. Get some sleep. Set some communication rules. That's very good. Unplug, right? Unplug. And always have that support around you from, fellow owners, like you do here, and your family. And especially stay active, even if it's just 30 minutes. So that's what I would tell you that I could bring to you today to have your breakthrough in business and not have burnout. Thanks.
Can you unmute, Rhonda? Thanks. Edna, it's interesting. My mind was going over a couple of things as you were sharing, and one of them was I've been successful in business and put a lot into it, but my children grew up overnight. I've had that experience. So I put a lot of time into my granddaughter now, which is a typical story. But the interesting one was to switch off everything, which I will do. But I've got the habit of going and checking it, not switching it off and forgetting about it. I'll switch it off, but then I can't switch off. I've got to go and check to see. Someone's got to be looking for me, surely. So I'm just saying, you've given me a revigorized discipline to make sure I switch off and stay switched off.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I'm telling you, it changes you. It really changes you. I'm telling you. I do it. I changed my life. 7 years ago, I started meditating and I would sit quiet. Yeah. Everybody respects me. Don't call me. They don't call me. And they're like, oh, you're exercising. I shouldn't have called you. Or they text me. I know you're exercising right now. I know you're going to get this later, but you set those boundaries and you feel like $1 million. It's like I tell my kids, I feel like Benjamin Button, like I'm going backwards in time, it's like I feel different, like, because I've learned to set those boundaries and it makes me feel a lot better.
I think those boundaries are just so much more important in today's world because we just moved so quickly into the technology that we've got, and your communication, like, I can remember the days you'd write a letter and post a letter. That's how old I am. But everything is immediately in your face. You've got to take that time. And does anybody else contribute anything? Charlie, do you want to contribute anything?
Only that I've found the secret to when it comes to the kids growing up too quickly. I found out how to get around that. Just have more children.
Oh, no.
Well, Charlie, my solution to that is just to be there. And I think one of the most important things that you said for me today, Edna, was about boundaries. And boundaries are something that's always been very challenging for me. And it's so important because everybody will just use you up for their purposes and you end up an absolute wreck, nothing. And then, to anybody, including yourself.
Absolutely.
All right, does that mean answering any of my emails today?
I beg
I'm
your
sorry?
pardon?
I said, Rhonda, does that mean you won't be answering any of my emails today?
Oh, I've done my email today.
Alex, can I ask you to thank Edna for us? Would you mind contributing to that?
I certainly would. Absolutely delightful to listen to you. And there's a few things that resonate very much so. One is, I like the thing is, don't try eating the elephant all in one go. It's breaking things down. But the other thing was setting boundaries. And I had the experience of many years ago working kind of 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and really nothing. and I was really fortunate. Somebody at the yacht club said, could you start teaching the kids sailing? And although it was every second weekend for maybe 4 or 5 hours, it meant that I actually didn't work the weekends.
Yeah.
I had a perfectly legitimate excuse. What a difference that made to my life. Because apart from the 5 hours, the rest of the time was with family. And
Yeah.
somebody in the office had said, oh, we don't need to get somebody extra because Alex will work the extra hours. And I thought, well, stuff this for a game of soldiers. So, you know, it really changed. And I think those points that you raised, or those recommendations, you know, stay on task, schedule events, and there'll always be something that actually comes up. You know, we went away for the weekend, and my son turns up on Friday night, Easter Friday night, to say, oh, well, yeah, I've got a wee problem. Oh, what's your problem? Well, my sugar levels are up at 18 and 19, and I haven't got any insulin. So then we had to run around and find a way at the other side of the earth almost to get some insulin. So there'll always be something that comes up, but it's amazing thing. And the other really good thing is having a group of people. You don't have to have very many that you can actually talk to. That you know, they're your confidant. They don't know all the answers, but sometimes you already know the answers. But it's only when you start talking with somebody else that they actually come
That's how it works.
It's amazing.
Yep, that's how it works. Yes, it does.
So thank you very much for your contributions this morning. Absolutely. Thank you.
Again, Edna, thank you very much. I just want to clarify that.
Thank you.
We've been attending numbers, and I'll apologise for that again. But I'm going to ask Jeremy, who communicated with you initially, I'm going to ask Jeremy to get back in touch with you, because I'd like to honour you with a greater audience in a few months' time. So thank you so much.
That'd be nice.
That'll be great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was really great meeting all of you. I love Australia. I stayed there for a month. I wish I could stay forever, but I love it. I love it. It's just beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful.
I'd offer to put you up, but I'm taking time out with my family now, so I can't put you up.
That's because she'll want to come to the Gold Coast, Greg, not Melbourne.
Oh, rats.
Edna, if you want to step it up a bit, then come to New Zealand.
I lived in New Zealand. I lived in New Zealand.
Different level altogether.
I lived in New Zealand. I lived in New Zealand for 17 years.
I think I'm going to have to apologise for the old. I'm going to have to apologise for the old smoothies in the group there, Edna. The old retirees that think they still have it.
Edna, I lived in New Zealand for 17 years.
They do. They have it.
And in New Zealand, they say New Zealand is God's own country, and that's true. But he has his holidays on the Gold Coast.
Yes, I've heard that. That's true. Okay, that's true.
Well, I'm going to pull the plug. Have a fabulous month ahead.
Okay.
And thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. It's great meeting you all. I'll see you all soon.
Yeah.
Take care.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, Edna. Who's our speaker next month, Greg? Who's our speaker next? Oh, he's gone. Oh, well, cheerio, everybody. Thank you for being here today.
You're not doing the farewell wave and dance?
Yes, we are. 1, 2, 3, go. I'm alive. I'm well. And I feel great.
I feel great.
I'm alive. I'm well. And I feel great.
I'm alive.
I'm well. And I feel great.
Yes. I'm special.
Have a great month, everybody.
Merry Christmas, all.
Good to catch up with you the other day, Charlie.
Yes, it was
really nice.
Yes, it was a good visit.